Good evening, folks. So, just back with another trade breakdown. And when I got to the charts this morning, it was a mixed bias. You know, this was the open, and this was the 2 to 6. So, with this mixed bias, I kind of looked at this and I said to myself, I don't really like what I'm seeing because I actually find it a bit difficult to determine a bias. Usually when I have a mixed bias, I'll ask myself what makes more sense. And when I asked myself that question and I looked at the charts, I couldn't really, decide or make out what makes more sense. So I opted not to trade London session from 6 to 10. Um, what I was thinking at the time was, well, the weekly was bearish last week. If I go to the daily, we have come down to, this was a very important zone when we broke out, where we pulled back to. We've then continued, couldn't break the high, formed the higher support, broke the higher support, and now we've got a lower resistance, but we're very much still bullish. So last week tapped into this, and then we pushed. So when I look at the 4 hour, then it's very evident to see where we're reacting from and rejecting from. So the fact that we have made a support, we formed a resistance, we have failed to confirm the resistance with a second bearish 4 hour. We have then formed a bullish 4 hour, which has meant we've formed a higher support. So, in that scenario, I would be looking to potentially buy, right? But when I was looking at, well, where could I buy to? We have a support, turn resistance, buying on here. And just above that, we tap into another resistance. Wick rejection. This is a monthly support low. And as well we have this as well. So if I'm looking at this, I'm saying, well, where's the cleaner buys? Well, the cleaner buys for me are above this area here, between here and here. Now that's just from looking at what's most recent. Okay, so for me, that's what I identified. And if I was looking at selling, well, I'm thinking to myself, we've formed a support, we've pushed up, we've formed a support. If we can't continue and we tap into here and reject, I don't want to be selling into this because we have reacted from there and pushed that way. I don't want to be selling into this, so maybe below this area, maybe target this and maybe look to push down. But if I look at that on the hourly time frame, if we are below here, what that means is we would have a change in structure back to the downside. Support, higher support, fail to push, break the support. Do we get a lower resistance in and around here? And I can then short that down to here. So that's what I was thinking. I don't really see value in buying from around here, target here, because I'm just seeing all this as a potential rejection area or reaction, possible rejection area based off of the 4 hour time frame. And if I look at this in terms of, a pip count, 30 pips really, 33 pips. And again, if you look at the structure, like, I don't really like buying into that. If I'm kind of looking at, I would prefer, ultimately what I would have preferred is like this higher support to be confirmed with a bullish candle, and then maybe look to get involved in and around here. And looking at this based off the 4 hour chart, excuse me, I'm identifying, like, because this blue zone is a daily support. Okay, so again, I don't want to be buying into this daily support level at 164,413. I kind of want to be above it. I'm looking at this on the daily. When we're above this level, You know, it's a nice push, nice push, nice push, nice push, nice push. There does seem to be some sort of clean, you know, price movement within that. And if we drop down to the 4 hour, we can kind of see that the most recent candle passing through here is a nice clean candle. And if we drop down, it is clean traffic. However, on this day, there was yen news at about 1:30 in the morning. And I believe this is what's caused this push down. So just because we have passed through here doesn't necessarily mean that the move from here to here is going to be clean. It's going to be nice, because if we look at what's left to this, we can see that we have wicked into here and reacted. There's been a clean candle push here, clean candle push here. If we go even further, we've got a clean candle there, you know, clean traffic to an extent here with a little pause in the middle. So this was the area I was looking at to buy. I don't really want to target and try and push the trade up to here, because we're then pushing into this support, then pushing into this support with these wicks, wick rejection, wick rejection, wick rejection. I'm just basically seeing this as like the clean area. You know, this is a 30 pip range. It's cleaner to an extent than maybe buying into here and things like that. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, so if I just fast forward on to what's occurred, so this is basically how price is at the minute, and the second 4 hour candle which confirms the support happened. Brilliant. If I reflected back on the session, and if we look at 30-minute candles, you know, we have a bit of a range in here. We have a support from 4, we push down, and this candle here from 6 to half 6 closes above the most recent resistance. And if we look at what's left, like, to me, I wouldn't buy on this candle personally, because the reason for that is I'm seeing as this is a clean move down, this candle. We've then ranged. As we have broken up, we have then filled that candle. So that's target's been met, right? So that's been met. And if I'm buying here with stops below, where am I going to target? Am I going to target here? From a risk reward profile, it doesn't really make sense to me. As well as that, you know, we are pushing into that 4 hour support and resistance here on a lower time frame. So again, it doesn't really make sense for me to buy into that. So I just carried on with my work today. You know, I didn't really look at the charts. I did set a little alert here, because this is what I identified. If we're going to move from here to the upside, this is the area I was kind of looking at anyway. Excuse me. Now, you know, the more efficient trade, where did the trade start from? Where did the move start from? Excuse me. Well, it did start from our London session today, but the way I'm looking at this is this is Monday. It's the first trading day of the month for me. You know, taking a trade at half 6, which is very early into the session. You know, buying into a support, which from a risk reward profile doesn't really give me enough. You know, I'm not looking to extend this because of what this is. If we got rejection from here and pushed to the downside, and I was targeting up here, I would be saying to myself, well, why was I targeting there when there was clearly areas here which price had reacted at before, and this comes first before we even get to here. So it would be kind of silly for me to target beyond that, unless we have closes above and we respect those levels. So excuse me, that was what I was thinking this morning. So I kind of looked at those two candles. Again, first day of the month for me for trading. There's no real rush to jump into a trade. The mixed bias, we're sort of bearish on the based on the previous week. However, we've opened bullish. We're indecisive. We're reacting off higher time frame areas. For me, I just wanted to see a bit more development, to give me a better idea as to what direction price is going, and could I capitalize on that. So I'm just gonna bring on my trade today, and this is my trade. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring chart back to here, and this is what I was looking at. So we've got clean price movement, most recent. Yes, this was news based. So what's to say that we don't react here? Okay. However, I'm going off what's most recent for me. Okay. So usually, not usually, but sometimes when I have zones marked up, and sometimes price will push to the opposite end of the zone, and you may not get an opportunity. Sometimes price will close inside, pull back, maybe respect the top end of the zone and then continue, or price might just close inside and then keep continuing, right? So you might not get your sort of 30-minute support or resistance in this area, you know. So what I actually done was, sometimes when I view these options and the trade's completed or the session's done, I reflect back and I'll like go down the time frames. Sometimes what we'll see is when we get a reaction here, like a rejection, this is, and then price pushes on, this is going to be a lower time frame, higher support. So sometimes what you might get, price which pushes up, and then you'll get a price will stall, and then you'll maybe get a close above, and then you'll get the continuation. Okay, now this is going to be on like a 5 minute, sometimes even a 15 minute, but of course on like a 30 minute or a 1 hour, what that would look like is maybe something like that. Okay, so you're not going to get your 30-minute higher support, take your entry, target the target, stops below, especially at this time of year where the moves have been a bit bigger. Now, don't get me wrong, this trade is post 10 a.m. So what I done was I looked at the 5 minute, and what I had done was, if I just play this here, let me just rewind it back to here. So what I seen on the 5 minute was basically, I was looking at the most recent price patterns leading up to price basically coming up to 164 430. Okay, and this had formed here. So what I was looking at was this. Okay, and what we can see here is price pushes up, we then have a candle which forms a resistance, we have a support, and then as the next candle which confirms the support breaks the high, we get a push. Okay, so this is what I was looking at, and I was thinking, well, what's the chances that this happens again here, right? Because again, we have pushed through this zone, this daily support zone. We have formed a lower time frame higher support above the zone and above the support, respecting the support as lower time frame higher support. So what I was anticipating, well, as soon as we break this high, can we actually get a nice push? Because we're pushing into clean traffic, what's left, and we are kind of replicating a previous price pattern that I seen. So if I skip the next candle, that is how that candle closed. So I had basically a buy stop here. My stop loss was below this support, and my target was actually the 4 hour resistance, or sorry, the 4 hour support on my broker. Now I have a 4 hour support here on TradingView, but the 4 hour support on my broker, which is this one in and around here, is basically where this target is. Okay, it's just a few pips off compared to TradingView to the broker. So if I go back to the 5 minute, that's happy days, right? Now, might get out a jail card with this based on the 5 minute time frame. I marked up this resistance, and I said to myself, if price tags me in, pushes back down and just breaks this resistance, if we break this level, I'm going to close out of the trade. Okay, because we formed a support, we've then formed a higher support, respect and resistance. If we pull back down, I would be hoping, or not hoping, but anticipating that what's happened here will happen here. Now, what I would have preferred to have seen was price just continue, right? Hit my target, in and out, happy days. But I was relying on what's happened here to see if that will happen here. If we get a lower if we get a resistance, say, I'm expecting this resistance here to hold as potential support, and we can just carry on the move. Exactly like what we done here with this. Just basically a continuation of that. That was my idea. And when I had my target, so my target originally was getting me basically just under a 1-to-1. So if I basically pull that back to where I actually closed the position, was actually at 0.5%. As I know, my sort of data have a good win rate and things like that of getting to this, so that was in the back of my mind. Now, this is the thing, when I actually entered this trade, this exit method, or not exit method, what I was planning on doing was, if we were going to continue and push beyond 0.5%, I was just going to move my stop loss 0.5% to lock it in. And if we come back and tap me out, I'm coming out with something. Okay. Now, if I just skip through the candles, so again, this is the next 5-minute candle. Excuse me, next 5-minute candle. You can see we've done the exact same thing. We reacted here, respected the resistance as support, continued. So at this stage, we tried to come back down again, and the new 1-hour candle opened. We pushed down. So now this support is being respected, and then we just continued with the overall trend. So if I look at this on the 15-minute time frame, this is how it looks like on the 15-minute, and this is how it looks like on the 30-minute. Now, at the time of me getting involved in this trade where I did, there was no 15-minute structure or 30-minute structure in terms of resistance. It was all just bullish candles because we were moving up in the market. So I was expecting once we break into here, we can maybe replicate something like this and get a nice push. At least get a push to my target, or at least push in profit where I can lock in. So when we got to here, what I done was I failed to move my stop loss. Okay, because I was thinking to myself, I was in a bit of two minds what to do, which isn't really great because it was indecisive. And price ended up pulling all the way back down to my entry almost. And I was saying to myself, it's like, why did you not move your stop, Kevin? Close the trade. And I said to myself, do you know what? Trust your analysis, right? You've got the data there to back it up. Trust your analysis, okay? And that's what I've done. I trusted my analysis. And again, the resistance was respected as support, and we pushed up. Because we pushed away, come all the way back down towards my entry, and we pushed up. As soon as we got to there, I just closed the trade. So I closed the trade at 0.5% because that is what I should have done previously. But because I did not, if we were to come back up, I was just coming out of it. I wasn't going to hold it and say, oh, what if we get to here? Because I kind of made that mistake by allowing price to come all the way back down towards my entry. And if I just play what happened, we pulled back down, and then we actually continued to target. So if I look at this maybe on the 15-minute time frame, as you can see, we've pulled down to the 15-minute support, formed a higher support than this support, and then we pushed on to actually target. So it was just price pulling back to then continue to move. And looking at it on the 1-hour time frame and on the 30-minute time frame, well, the 1 hour, it doesn't look that bad, you know. So price then went on, hit my target, almost tapped into the 4-hour trading view, but on my broker, the 4-hour support would have been hit, and then we started to reverse. And basically that is where price is at the moment. We can see we're starting to fall back. And this could have just been a deeper pullback to continue down with last last week's candle. If we look at how we closed here, strong bearish candle, is this maybe just a weekly wick tapping into previous support to then continue down? Who knows? But that was sort of my trade based off of moving into an area which was kind of identified as clean traffic. Lower time frame. Now this sort of entry for me is not something I do a lot. I rarely trade the 5 minute time frame. You know, if basically I don't even trade it really. But looking at this, you know, I was sort of intrigued as to what we were going to do when we came to this area, and what sort of structure was forming. Because when just from looking at previous trades, when I've looked back, there's been higher supports here, or a structure forming roughly at the as we're breaking into the zone. And it is a trading, if you do trade lower time frame, it's an opportunity to maybe get into a move. Because if I look at this on, say, a 1 hour time frame, or not even if I look at this in a 4 hour time frame, if we're looking at, say, zones, you know, leaving this zone to target the next zone up here, you kind of want to be entering as you're breaking into the zone, test the opposite end. Because if you enter in the middle, there's a chance the price might pull back, continue, depending on where your stop is, you might get stopped out. Whereas if I enter as I'm breaking, then it's easier for me to have a, say for example I'm trading like this, I could have a deeper stop loss, you know. But again, you're just trading off the 4 hour like that, that's going to be as prices breaking, and you don't sort of know what structure you're getting until you look at the lower time frames. And that's not how I was treating this trade. It was more, well, what structure can I see that allows me to get into the trade on a structure based approach, rather than just breaking into or breaking out of a zone. But that's just a comparison to kind of see how, if you were trading this breaking out and into this zone, how this entry doesn't really look appealing on that time frame. But it's more based on structure rather than just entering here, for example. But again, if I was looking to improve this trade, I could have potentially looked to enter on the break here and stops below here, kind of similar. However, when I was looking at the charts, this here resistance had already formed. So what I was actually doing was I wanted to see if we were going to respect this area, because this is a very low time frame. So this breaking into or above a higher time frame level, such as the daily time frame, it's a very low time frame to be getting an entry on, which is potentially going to react at a higher time frame level. So it is very risky. So, you know, there's every chance that if I take an entry here, we just get a strong rejection because it's a daily level. So I wanted to see what happened here, because if I just rewind this to here, right, and I come to the charts and this is what I see, there's every chance that because this is such a higher time frame level, being a daily, that we just react off this like this, and then what that ends up looking like is a big candle that looks something like that, because we have tapped into a higher time frame level, which is the daily support. We have reacted off it and continued down. So the fact that I was allowing price to basically tell me what it was going to do first, and the fact that we didn't just break down, we formed a higher support, respecting the support before continuing, basically was like a confirmation to me that price isn't ready to go down yet. You know, it's forming these supports, otherwise it would be down here somewhere and I wouldn't be wanting to enter that. So I wanted to see a higher support or structure respecting this level and continuing the upside before I get entered, before I get involved, which is why I didn't get involved here. But essentially I wasn't even looking at the charts at that time. I had the sort of alert which went off, and it was just waiting to see what the next couple of candles done before making my mind up to get involved. So if these two candles here were bearish and we were down here, then it wouldn't have been appealing to me to get involved in a support here. I would have wanted to see being above the resistance, because we're then breaking away from this zone here, which was kind of key for me. So I know it's a long video for such a small trade in terms of what, a 10 pip trade, but that is my thought process on that and my reasoning for not getting involved down here this morning. But yeah, that's a sort of trade breakdown on that trade today, based on the 5 minute, but more so looking at higher time frame, cleaner areas and structure. And yeah, so thanks very much.